After bouncing around to a number of teams, wide receiver Chase Claypool has said he is ready to resurrect his career, looking for a career resurgence. And then my man's JC Latham of the Tennessee Titans is saying that the battle between Will Levis and Cam Ward is heating up and is getting very, very interesting down in Tennessee. Y'all know we're going to talk about it on today's episode, but you got to hear the music first.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. If y'all tuned in with me today, make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. I hope y'all enjoyed y'all July 4th break, because it was definitely a cracking one over here for NFL Central and the whole Chi-Town Sports Central network. We had a lot of fun in our own spaces. And I know that y'all enjoyed y'all time with y'all families, but now it's time to get into the football as we get closer and closer back to some damn football. So let's talk about the football. My man's Chase Claypool, he pretty much out here looking for a career resurgence. And he went on and he had some comments and pretty much said this: I am back to being the strongest and fastest I ever been, and couldn't be more excited to step back on the field and let my actions speak for themselves. I deeply and truly believe that the pieces will align, and I will work my way into the position to show off what's been suppressed these last 2 years. And hey, Chase Claypool, look, he had a great start to his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers, definitely being one of those key pieces. Everybody looked at him at the size, the athleticism, the catch ability, the catch radius, the route tree that he was out there putting on, and that production he was putting on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then the Chicago Bears, they swept in and traded for him, and he was paired over there with guys like DJ Moore and Justin Fields during his time with the Chicago Bears. Now, he was traded in the middle of the season, so people kind of was like, okay, it's kind of difficult just to come right in and just be a spark plug to the Chicago Bears and whatnot. And then, we kind of gave him a little pass for him not being as productive or having the immediate impact that we thought he was going to potentially have in Chicago behind Justin Fields and being over there with guys like DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. So then he goes into that following season, and then it's a bunch of things that kind of transpired behind the scenes that we heard about. Pretty much my man's Chase Claypool seemed like he wasn't interested in what the Chicago Bears was trying to do at that particular moment, and he was moved on to the Miami Dolphins. After this time with the Miami Dolphins and didn't necessarily work out, he ended up a Buffalo Bill, and with the Buffalo Bills, he suffered that foot injury, that toe injury that pretty much has him now outside of the NFL trying to work his way back in. Just to provide you all with that context. Now, I'm looking at Chase Claypool like this, bro. I think the biggest thing, it wasn't necessarily the talent. It was more so the diva stuff. But we already know that wide receivers around the NFL, the entire wide receiver group on any said team has that diva mentality. They want the ball in their hands. They want to create for their offense. They want to be a guy that puts up those stats, those 100 catch seasons, those 1,000 yard seasons, and rack them up and bring them in. So it's you understand it to a degree, but I say that a lot of the times that type of activity, depending on how you utilize it and express it, can be a detriment to the team. And then there was, hey, my man's Chase Claypool. He's not bought in. He's not that focused. So it's going to be interesting to see if he receives that opportunity. How does he take advantage of said opportunity? Because we look at a guy that was on the Pittsburgh Steelers in Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, he might still very well be a Hall of Fame caliber type of player that gets in, maybe, but can we all agree that He left a lot on the table by storming off of the damn football field, throwing his shirt off and throwing up the deuces. It was the ultimate crash out that we seen in the NFL that I never thought I'd see. Not like that. Not like that. And Antonio Brown, he left a lot of football left on that field by him walking off. And when teams saw that type of activity, they said, "Oh no, we can't. No, it's not gonna happen, bro." And Antonio Brown, he was a monster. We all, you know what I'm saying, didn't necessarily agree with all the things that he was able to do, but he was a monster as a wide receiver, especially looking at where he was taken in the draft and then how all that transpired to him becoming that damn productive and that damn good to where he was in conversations of the best wide receiver in the league during his time. It was crazy. Then you look at guys like Deontay Johnson. This man has been bouncing around for the last few seasons simply because that same activity that, you know what I'm saying, Antonio Brown and Chase Claypool have thrown themselves into. A lot of teams, yeah, they still, you know what I'm saying, Deontay Johnson is currently picked up on the team right now, but a lot is your options and your opportunities are getting very, very slim simply because nobody is going to sit there and deal with that, regardless of how productive you are. And you know that with the way that wide receivers enter the league now, at the influx that they enter the league now, some teams will be like, okay, cool, we good with missing out on you for 8, 9, 10 games because once the draft come around, we gonna find your replacement. So I'm looking at Chase Claypool and saying that, hey man, I hope you can go out here and get your stuff together. I'm hoping that you can go out here and really take that step forward so you can continue your playing career. But obviously, it's not on us to say, hey, just because you have all that talent, you deserve an opportunity. It's going to be on him. How have you grown since you went through these moments? How have you adjusted to where it's not just about you, Chase Claypool, anymore, but it's now about the team? And how are you going to react when the passes are not coming your way because the matchup is just not there for a said game? How are you going to answer and how are you going to react? It's going to be interesting to see because he does still have some talent. He is still a NFL caliber wide receiver in this league. Me personally, don't necessarily know how the production is going to line up for him moving forward, but I think that if he gets an opportunity, a lot of people will be watching to see how he responds. I think that's the good thing about a lot of things what we go through in our life. There's always a second chance. I remember my man's Josh Gordon. Hey, he went through a number of things and he received opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And this could be the same thing for Chase Claypool, but it's not going to be okay, I made it back to the team. It's going to be what do you do after you made it back to said team? So, hey, career resurgence, hey, I'm all for it, but it's not on us, it's on you, Chase Claypool. Now we move into the next topic, man. Let's go ahead and talk about these Tennessee Titans to where it's seeming like they really are leaning into this QB battle that they have down there. At least that's what is coming from one of the players in JC Latham, and pretty much saying Will Levis ain't just laying over and giving the job to Cam Ward. And hey, I don't expect that at all. But my man's JC Latham said this: Will's not just going to sit over there and say, oh, we drafted him, go ahead, take it. Cam's not going to expect it to be just given to him throughout the spring. I think that's the one thing that all the coaches and players on the team have seen. Like both of them taking the challenge of trying to really earn the spot and really fight for the spot. It's made them better. You can see the improvements from Will, and you can see the sharpness of Cam Ward. And that's how it should be. Me, I'm a guy that's a competitor. I want to compete if we playing checkers. I want to compete if, you know what I'm saying, if we going to sit there and we just tossing the football around. I want to make sure I'm throwing the football better than you. If you want to match up one-on-one, I don't give a damn how old I am. I'm going to stretch and I'm going to try to go out there and put that work. You know what I'm saying? Put that work in. And there's many, many people around here that are similarly like that. But a lot of times we just want to keep it friendly. And that's the same thing with these two guys. But me personally, hey, y'all, I just got one quick question. Y'all really think that they not about to hand the keys over to Cam Ward? That's just my personal opinion. That's just my personal opinion. You look at that Coach Brian Callahan over there, and you look at him and see how frustrated he was with Will Levis as his starting quarterback, yelling him out, yelling at him, grilling him, and because simply it was was the situational things with Will Levis. Will Levis would come out and have a good 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarters, his throat get tight, his chest started to itch, and his head started to sweat a little bit more harder. And then you see Will Levis, hey, he trying to do too much, so he getting ready to take a sack, and instead of just taking the sack and eating the sack, he want pause. But instead of just taking a sack, he want to chuck up the football and just give the opposing team, an opportunity to go out there and win the game. And a lot of the times, he absolutely did that. I remember last season, at the start of the season, very first game, Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans was whooping on the Chicago Bears, and hey, a couple bad mistakes towards the end of that game led to the Tennessee Titans taking an L when the Chicago Bears starting off the season 1-0. You know what I'm saying? I know that's just one game as an example, but there are another other examples of games to where Will Levis just wasn't out there. But I'm with it. Let these guys go out there and compete. But I think that ultimately you took Cam Ward for a reason. And hey, and I will say there's two sides to it, because I say that you can't go out here, you can't screw around with Cam Ward and have him playing, fiddle on one side of the aspect. And there's going to be the expectation that he's going to start game one. But the good thing is, if you go out there and make him earn it, and then you say, all right, you know what I'm saying? Go out there and put that work in, and he earns it. He feels a little bit more empowerment, and to say, this my stuff right here, this mine. I'm finna run with it. We finna go out here and see what this young kid is made of. And there's another side to where you can say, all right, Cam, we know you worked hard. We're gonna go with Will Levis to start. And then you can just let him see and watch the game and understand the speed of the NFL. And then just maybe 4 or 5 games in, don't even have to take too long. You know what I'm saying? You can go out there and let him be a starter then, and let him come in a little bit more. I wouldn't say experience, simply because I think the experience will be more valuable being on the field, but it could be something to where he's looking at the game and understanding that this is not the NCAA. You're not going to be able to sit up there behind your offensive line or the Domino's wing stop and call in a favor at McDonald's. You ain't gonna be able to do that in the NFL. You're gonna have to go out there and play sound football. You're gonna have to go out there and take care of the football. And it's about taking the layups early. And then when your team absolutely needs you, that's when you go out there and show us how great you are in Cam Ward. So it's a situation that's very, very interesting. I love that there's a lot of competition going on with it. And I'm gonna rock with it and say, like, hey, we're gonna keep this thing pushing. I'm not mad at it at all, one bit. I'm not mad at it at one bit. But I say, hey, Will Levis, look, if he couldn't shake it off in 2 years, I'm just saying, maybe. I seen career resurgence, you know what I'm saying, from Sam Darnold and Geno Smith and, guys like that these last few seasons of watching the NFL closely. So who's to say that Will Levis is out the door? But at the end of the day, you took Cam Ward for an absolute reason. But they will make their decision into the season, and that's going to be up to them. And we'll continue to follow that lead to see where it takes us. But hey, that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of NFL Central. Before y'all get up out of here, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate y'all over here. Always love football, and y'all already know we're going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.